Are you new to boating? Or maybe you just bought a brand new personal watercraft and you're not sure which life jacket you need to get. Well, today we're going to go through each type of life jacket and we're going to cover the usage and the specifications for each one. The first one that we're going to cover is the Type 1 life vest. The preferred usage for the Type 1 is when fishing offshore, fishing alone, or fishing in rough conditions. The Type 1 is by far the best one from a safety standpoint. The Type 1 is designed to turn unconscious wearers face up if they fall into the water. And it has a buoyancy of 22 pounds. The Type 1 also has reflective tape, which makes it excellent for a rescue at night. This is a requirement for all commercial vessels, but we highly recommend that you get your Type 1s and put reflective tape on them as well. Now, we hope that nobody ever needs to use a life vest, but if you ever need to use one, you want to make sure that you have all the safety items on that vest. Now, the Type 1 also has, besides the reflective tape, has a whistle and a light. We have a whistle and a glow stick on every one of ours. Now, the whistle is very useful when a rescue is needed to be performed at night or in low visibility, because the wearer can blow the whistle and emit a sound. And obviously the reflective tape is going to make it a lot easier when it's a night rescue and they're shining the light. We also have the name of the vessel is spray painted on the back of every one of our life vests. Now, this is a requirement from the Coast Guard for all commercial vessels, but we would highly recommend that you apply this to your boat as well. These are United States Coast Guard requirements for commercial vessels. Now, I highly recommend, if you're a recreational fisherman or if you're a boater who operates outside of inland waters, that you also have these on your life vests. The Type 1 life vests are intended to give the wearer the highest chance of survival when a rescue will take time to get there. The Type 1 performs the best at keeping your head above water and also performs the best at preserving the wearer's body heat. So if I had to pick and say which is the best life vest, I would tell you the Type 1 by far is the best one that you could buy. Now, the next life jacket that we're going to cover is the Type 2 life jacket. These are probably the ones that people think of the most when they think of boating. Now, the usage for this is for inland waters and nearshore fishing and boating. So the wearers will spend less time in the water. The Type 2 is intended to be used when the chance of rescue, immediate rescue, is good, so very close to land. The Type 2 is not a good option for extended survival, especially in rough water. Now, the Type 2 offers 15.5 pounds of buoyancy, but this is why it makes it a poor performer in rough water, because oftentimes the user, the wearer, is going to have to tread water to be able to keep their head above the water. Now, when you buy these, they also do not have reflective tape and they're not going to come with a whistle. Now, if your boating application will work for a Type 2, we highly recommend that you get reflective tape and get a whistle and a light put on them as well. Remember that you can never predict when an emergency is going to occur. And if that emergency were to occur either at night or in a low visibility situation, you definitely want to ensure that you have the chances for a quick rescue in your favor. The next life vest that we want to cover is the Type 3 life vest. These are the most popular when kayaking, canoeing, or operating a personal watercraft. Many people also feel that these are the best for kayak fishing and also the best for operating a jet ski or a personal watercraft due to their comfort level. Now, these applications are almost always in inland waters, so lakes, bays, and rivers. So if you're boating or operating a watercraft in those areas, then the Type 3 is a suitable option for you. Now, these will perform poorly in rough waters and are not suitable for fishing offshore. Now, if you notice, these also do not have reflective tape, a light, or a whistle. But we would highly recommend that if you're using a Type 3, that you also add that. Remember that when it comes to boating safety, you want to have every safety option available in the event that you need to use it. The next one that we want to talk about is the Type 4, and Type 4s are throwable devices. The most common one is the throw ring. Now, these are not intended to be worn. The intended purpose of the throwable device is just that you could throw it into the water to a person who has fallen in. The minimum buoyancy for a throw ring is 16.5 pounds, and you'll notice that we also have reflective tape along with our vessel's name and a rope attached to it. The Coast Guard requires commercial vessels to have their name, reflective tape, and rope attached to their throwable device. Now, the requirement for the Coast Guard is to have 100 feet of rope, but but we have 600 feet of rope on ours. The reason for this, if a person were to fall into the water and you have no propulsion on your boat, or you're in a high current situation like we are when we're out on the sword grounds, that person can drift away from the boat pretty quickly. The reason why we have 600 feet of rope on our throwable device is because if you're out in an emergency situation and have no propulsion on your boat, or you're in a high current situation like we are on the sword grounds, and a person were to fall into the water, they could drift back pretty quickly with the current. We want to ensure that we could throw this ring to the person and have plenty of rope that they could grab that ring, and we could turn around if we have propulsion, or if we don't, that we could safely and quickly pull them and get them back on the boat. The last one that we want to cover is the special use life vest. And this is an example of one. This is a Type 5, and it is an inflatable life vest. Now, these life vests inflate because they have a CO2 canister and a pressure sensor inside of them. So when the wearer falls into the water, the pressure when they go under will trigger that sensor and they automatically inflate. Now, as you can imagine, these do not meet Coast Guard regulations. Having said that, if you go this route and you want to use an inflatable Type 5 on your boat, you still need to have a life vest that is Coast Guard approved. Now, if you're thinking, why would somebody want to use a Type 5? It's because these are extremely comfortable and very light. Now, a major drawback to the Type 5, the inflatable ones, is that they are extremely expensive and they have a one-time use. Well, you could use it a second time, but if the wearer were to fall into the water and that sensor would trigger the CO2 canister to inflate the life vest would stay inflated until you took the air out of it. And then to use it again, you would need to replace and put another CO2 cartridge in it. So by one time, we mean the wearer could fall in the water one time, and then they'd have to wear it inflated all day. The other item that makes a Type 5 inflatable very risky is that they are inflatable. So you can imagine what would happen if that sensor were to either fail or if that life vest would be punctured. Now you have a full understanding of which life jacket you need and for what application you need them for. Now just remember, whatever life jacket you decide that you need to buy, make sure that it's Coast Guard approved. Thank you for watching, and stay safe out there.